Come on in the room. Come on. Y'all know what time it is tonight. We talking about love. Love. Do you got a little bit of love? Huh? Come on. Happy Love Month, y'all. Welcome to Therapy Tuesday. Y'all, it's the month of love. Can y'all just put some hearts in the chat for me if you feel love today? And if you don't, I hope you feel love by the time we finish. So let me tell y'all something. I'm just excited because I feel loved by the Lord today. I feel loved by Him. See, sometimes you got to get excited. You got to sing to yourself, make your own atmosphere. So, do you feel love? So tonight, y'all, we got a powerful segment. Me and my sister, y'all already know we're bridging the church and the couch. I need Jesus and my therapist. Oh my, because I know my therapist. They say, boy, Mr. Garrison, that bishop-elect, he's something else. But guess what? It's needed. Who do you have that you could just lay on? Who do you have that you could lay your love out on the couch? So tonight, we got a powerful segment. Love without losing yourself. How many of you love somebody so hard that you lost you? You looked in the mirror, you said, oh my God, who is that? You lost yourself. So, y'all, I'm excited. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know what's going to happen. But we have a segment for you. Matter of fact, do me a favor right now. Like it, share it, send it to somebody that you know. Don't tell them you ain't like the relationship they was in. Don't tell them, I ain't like that, but tell them, I got something for you. Hop on this right quick. Even if, somebody that they've been talking about, I'm just waiting for them. Look, you hear, I'm waiting on my Boaz. Send it to them because we might got a little information to help them find it. Because, some people don't realize what happened to Boaz. I know that Netflix movie, it was so beautiful. I cried, y'all. I cried. Because that love, it was a love story. My eyes got a little dirty and it started leaking. But, tonight we're going to talk about love. And y'all, I know I'm cutting up, but we got to have a good time. Why can't we have a good time in Kingdom? So, tonight, love without losing yourself. Love without losing yourself. I ain't going to get a subtopic. I'll let Janae handle that because she the woman of the hour. So I need y'all, if you shared it, let me know that you shared it. If you liked it, I need to see that you liked it. Matter of fact, if Therapy Tuesday has been a blessing to you over the past now 3 years, I need you to share this and tell somebody, y'all, get on Therapy Tuesday, okay? So like it, comment, share, interact with us tonight because this is for you. So I'm going to bring my big sister, the mom, the CEO, the business owner, to check you when I'm right, know when you're wrong. I'm going to bring that woman to the stage, y'all, and I'm going to get out the way, but I might hop in. So y'all don't judge me. Judge yourself.
Good night. I'm just looking at everybody in the comment section. Hey y'all be on here every month with us, rocking with us. Shout out to Audris, my sister friend from church. Shamara, you be holding it down. Radical Anointing. It's just so nice to be supported and it feels so validating. So I just wanted to shout you guys out for always supporting us. Yes, we are talking about love without losing yourself, love, loyalty, and self-betrayal. I don't know if this gonna go in the direction y'all think, but we're gonna see. Y'all know how I do. I come in the back door sometimes. But welcome back to another Therapy Tuesday, where we are the bridge between the church and the couch. You need Jesus and you need someone to help get your mind right. Sometimes God uses therapists and clergy and life coaches and self-help books to get to you. Um, as always, I want to invite you all to give. Your giving helps us to pay for the platforms we use to come on every week. There's no amount that's too little. Whatever you have that you feel the need to donate, you can give through Apple Pay or Givelify. The QR codes are on the screen. Also, a different way to give is keep you some merch. I got on my hoodie today. In fact, I love Therapy Tuesday, so I already know what I'm wearing. I know I'm wearing one of my Therapy Tuesday hoodies. So go on there and use code LFRCI15 and get your 15% off some Therapy Tuesday gear. Happy belated Valentine's Day. Yes, we picked our topic in honor of Valentine's Day this month, even though it's not Valentine's Day. We just wanted to acknowledge love in general. This topic, I'm not just talking about romantic relationships or love. I'm talking about love in all aspects. How we love our children, how we attach to them, how we attach to titles and jobs and roles and friendships and people and extended family. I'm talking about all of it. So this is not just for the singles or just for the married people or for people in between. If you are a human beings with a heart and feelings and you attach to things, this Therapy Tuesday is for you. So, some recommendations for success. If you rock with us every month, this probably sound like a broken record, but I want you to stay present. Let's have a really good conversation. That means that you are commenting in the chat. That means you're stopping me in the middle of me saying something and asking a question. um, this does not replace any recommendations from your medical providers. These are just tools to help you live a life that's worth living. Take notes so you don't forget anything that's useful. I might say something, you're like, "Oh, that's good." Write it down, journal about it, tell other people about it. You don't even got to tell them I said it. Share it with somebody like it's your own. I'm okay with that. I give you permission to do that. Um, and take care of yourself if I trigger you. I'm not trying to, but you might just get triggered. Get you some water, take a break this month for Therapy Tuesday, try it again next month. But we want you to be happy and whole while you're on live with us. My objectives today, I just want you to understand how social conditioning shapes our patterns for love. I want to validate you a little bit. You're not crazy in love and over attaching to things because something's wrong with you. We are literally conditioned to over attach to things. I want to define loyalty, and we're going to look at it from a healthy and an unhealthy perspective. I want you to recognize self betrayal from a practical standpoint in everyday ways. A lot of things are self betrayal. You may not know it because you're thinking of betrayal from the infidelity, love, marital perspective. But you can betray yourself. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Learn emotionally and spiritually aligned solutions. Very important. Yes, this is a problem when we over attach and we overcommit and we self betray, but there is recovery. There's a solution for all of this. And I hope that you leave with tools to love without abandoning yourself. We're going to learn how to love without forgetting about the person behind the love, ourselves. So I'm starting off with a question. And maybe Pastor Air, I want to get off and join, or maybe he's gonna stay in hiding. But what is your style of love or attachment? And love has many definitions. Just to start off, we're talking about it from an adaptive survival form or attachment. So, what's your style of connection and attachment and intimacy with other people, places, and things? Like, for me, or have you guys heard people say like I love hard, or people say it's hard for me to fall in love? I rarely say that word. Like, what is your style? Or do you love very hard? Do people have to prove themselves to you before you let your guard down? Put it in the comments.
Well, you talked about me, my love style. You know, I'm that old 60s, 70s love outside the window. Her angel, her angel. Yeah, that's me right there. I'm that singing kind of that cute love, you know. That's my kind of love style. I want to just fall, you know, but fall safe. Because sometimes you can love hard but still love safe. I want to love healthy. Because I loved hard, ooh, and I fell hard. And so
Mm.
now my love style is I love safe. I love effective. I love responsibly.
Ooh,
Because
that's good.
self is to love responsibly, because I got to know my capacity. I got to know what I can handle. And so I used to love hard, I did, but now I love safe. You know, because not only just safety for me, but safety for the person I'm pursuing. And sometimes that may bring distance a little bit for you to reassess the situation. You know, sometimes people take the distance of love as you don't love them, when it's really I'm assessing everything about you and me to make sure that we are compatible to continue, because I don't want to love you so hard that I drop you.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, you know, that's my little 2 cents, you know, my little
Okay.
my girl kind of love. What we
We
talking
got
about?
some good stuff coming in the comments. I have some love hearters, yeah. But compartmentalize and shimmer. Guard your heart. Dr. D says I have no idea just yet because I am learning myself. That's a real place and that's
Oh,
good
that's real
honesty.
good.
Yeah. I'll just say good question. Question: deep love doesn't happen overnight for me. It grows over time. Yeah, I'm kind of like that too. But now that I'm getting a little more mature, I'll tell you my style of love. It went from the loving hard. Oh my goodness, boy, did I love hard. Now I have committed love, and I'll tell you the difference between committed love and attachment. I choose the way I love now. I love with intention as opposed to allowing my survival mechanism to come in and I'm just loving all over the place. Loyal everywhere, over attaching, loving hard. Now it is very intentional. It's so funny. My husband said, Janae, you scare me. And I'm like, why do I scare you? He was like, because you detach from things real fast. Because when we had a dog first before we had kids, and I loved the dog. And then when the kids came, I was like, dog, get out of my face. That's how it was. And I was like, you know what? You should be grateful because I choose to love you. I am committed to you. I'm not attached. I want to be here. And that took some time. So thank y'all for sharing y'all style of love. So let's look at why we love the way that we do. Why do we love? Sometimes we're not choosing that love intentionally like I have grown into. A lot of times the way that we love things, our children, our jobs, our titles, ourselves, people around us, is shaped by our family. Sometimes we see dysfunctional love modeled, and unfortunately, we do inherit some of that stuff. Our culture, gender expectations. Men don't love out loud or don't wear their emotions on their sleeve. Church teachings about love. Trauma shapes how we love. Absolutely. Attachment patterns. Um, Social reward systems. Yes, that's the biggest thing right there. We are rewarded for how much we give when we're in these relationships. That reinforces us over giving and going into self betrayal. So some of this isn't our fault. We are literally conditioned to give and give and give till we have no more, until we realize there's a better way of doing love. So let's look at attachment and adaptation. So attachment theory tells us that, and if you guys have been on me month to month, you've heard me talk about a different attachment styles at least 3 to 4 times in our Tuesday talks. But let's revisit them. So secure attachment feels love feels safe and mutual. So you are a child in infancy, all your needs are met. You feel secure. So love feels safe and mutual. You don't worry if it's coming back. You don't have to perform for it because you have already been bred and reared with the idea that people love you back. That is ingrained in your psyche, and your internal voice says they love you. Let's look at the anxious attachment style. So love feels uncertain, and when love feels uncertain, you overgive. And you overgive as a down payment on making sure that they continue to show up for you because you don't want to be abandoned. So those with anxious attachment style in early childhood, you likely was abandoned. You likely were neglected. And oftentimes it's not the type of abandonment and neglect where DCF or children's services has to get involved. I call it benign neglect. It's the type of neglect that doesn't cause serious emotional, mental, bodily harm, but boy, do you feel the void. Boy, do you wish your parents showed up a little bit more. Boy, do you wish you had more hugs. Boy, do you wish you had more kisses in childhood. They were there, they fed you, they clothed you, you had a roof over your head, but you just didn't have all your emotional needs met. So the avoided attachment style, you adapted this kind of attachment if love felt overwhelming. So you withdrew. Like it's just too much for you. And oftentimes it's too much for you because you've never experienced it. So if you're the type of child where you really didn't get any attention, you were by yourself, you raised yourself, you probably was a latchkey kid, you figured things out on your own, you were parentified, you were making adult decisions all by yourself because there was no adult to consult. So you have learned I don't need people. So now you're the adult that say forget them kids, I don't need a person in my life, I don't need that job. You will bounce at the drop of a dime. So the way that we attach has nothing to do with who we are as people, but how we've been raised and how we need security and safety to function and survive. So, love really is a survival mechanism. You love the way you're loving because you're just trying to survive. That's all it is. Somebody put I'm just trying to survive in the comments. You're just trying to survive.
Hold on before you pause.
Uh-huh.
Rewind that thing. You just said something, and I think sometime with certain cultures that is so big of not having that love. Like you said, you get provided for, you got food on the table, but you don't get hugged. You don't get love. You
Mm.
get told I love you, and so I can say with my family or certain things that I've seen even in men in my family where generational curses were broken. That my great grandfather, he says I love you. My grandfather, he gives hugs. Me, I be all over. I'm loving, I'm crying, I'm everything because of watching it break down. But it takes time, and so I think when you realize the absence of love, and a quick thing that I think goes with it, I did a study for a message, and it talked about how different people of violent crimes when it was asked the last time that they got a hug or was loved, they hadn't been touched, and they were saying that they never
Mm.
felt the expression of love, and people don't realize how important that is to give love, give a hug. Even when we see people with the with signs a free hug or something, and we laugh at it, but it's needed because one of the most important things that they tell you as a woman when you have a child is skin to skin contact. So that means
Mm.
that closeness, it never changes. So it's always needed that we have to have a closeness with another person because it develops something in you that causes you to be normal or to have the normal senses. And I think when that absence comes, it builds up something that was never supposed to be there, as far as anger, resentment, abandonment, and all these negative feelings, all because of the lack of being close with somebody.
Yeah. When you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we need love. We need it. It's on there. We need to be loved. We need physical touch. We need physical connection. And when you don't experience it in childhood, you kind of developed a taste to not have it. So let's just say sometimes from childhood, we have a distorted reality of what real love is. And it's just because you haven't been exposed to it. You cannot internalize and replicate what you haven't been exposed to. That's why exposure is so important. So important. But when you know better, you got to do better. And if you can't get exposed to it, sometimes you have to be the one that curates it and create it. And that's kind of like what I do with my children. I wasn't in a home that had a lot of hugs and touching. I knew I was loved because I was taken care of, but boy, are we touchy feely. So much so, I have to tell the girls, hey, we only touch and hug in the house because outside of the home, people still are learning that. And it's still abnormal and it feels uncomfortable. All right. But socially, we can develop what I like to call performance attachment. That's what ends up happening when you stay in survival mode too long. You learn that love equals performance. I have to do something to earn love. And I said this to you guys before. Mr. Rogers, I love him. He did not like cartoons, and he often had puppets, and he often had children who were disabled on his show because cartoons taught that you had to have laser vision and flying in order to be important. And he wanted children to know that you don't have to do anything spectacular to be loved. You are loved just for who you are. You're loved because of your essence. You're loved because you woke up today and you're here with us today. He wanted us to learn that. But because of the conditioning of our society, performance attachment is where we are. And I'm going to pause there because I saw something pop in the chat. While yes, the importance of hugs and kisses, I'm thankful we had a lot of healthy love and physical affection with my family growing up, and now with my hubby and son as he's growing. Yes, a couple of months ago that I thought relationships were transactional. Yes, absolutely. So here's a quote: I will earn love by being needed. Ooh, let that sit. This is another level of not I'm gonna earn love by doing, but I'm gonna earn love by creating the atmosphere where now I'm needed. That's the heartbeat of codependency. And that's why people get upset when they're not needed because they're gonna miss the opportunity to be loved. When I am not needed, that means I'm going to miss an opportunity to be loved. And that means that instinctual fear of being abandoned or being rejected is going to come up in my nervous system, and I'm going to feel it. So, really, I am using performance as a way to self medicate because of the fear of not having the love that I want. And that's what is happening. This pattern often becomes what we think is loyalty. It is not loyalty if you're creating opportunities to be needed in order to get human connection and love. That's self betrayal. Loyalty is a conscious process. It's that intentional commitment I was talking about. That's not healthy. So, the social script of loyalty. These are the social dynamics that I talked about. They kind of reinforce that unhealthy loyalty that we're going to call self betrayal. So, what you think is loyalty is often praised in marriage. It's reinforced there. You stay long. Like, what happens when somebody said they've been married 26 years? People are like, wow, ooh, that's a long time. What happens when someone say they got a divorce? You hear crickets, or sometimes you hear criticism. Um, and oftentimes it's a blessing that some people got divorced. I know God doesn't like divorce, but God never ordained the marriage in the first place. So he's okay with the divorce. And it's you both of y'all are better off without each other. Yes. Let's look at the friendships. Yeah, sometimes you have the dynamic in friendships where yes, it's about reciprocity, but it's not about self-sacrificing. If you are in relationships of any kind where you are broke and broken down, that is not healthy. That is not healthy. Church dynamics. Boy, have I seen some codependent relationships within the church. Heavy in the church. It's actually very scary. And church codependency is scary because those, I call it social norms. Serving and overgiving and overcommitting and being there, being the first one to open the church, the last one to close the church. You the trustee. You also clean their bathrooms. You own the usher board. You also do intercessory prayer. Uh, Oftentimes you're praised for being able to show up like that. But that's not healthy. That is self betrayal. We show up unhealthily in loyalty with our careers. Man, have I seen that. Sometimes it's time for you to leave. That job no longer aligns with your values. And we stay because we have a point to prove, or we want to win, whatever this the winning is in our minds. But what is it to win but lose your sense of self? It's not worth it. And that's for any relationship, just not the career. And then family systems. I see you coming on. Let
Hold
me
on one
pause.
second. Yeah. Pause that right there. Pause that. My. You said something about that church there. The church. Let the church say amen. Okay, so let's talk about it. You said when people show up so much. So how does a person know that they're losing themselves over serving of something that they want to do? When does it become you're losing yourself versus what you have the capacity for? How can you break that down? Because some people
You
say, "Oh,
trying to
I
get
love
ahead. You
serving."
trying to get ahead in my
Well,
discussion.
I get out the way then, girl. I get out the way now.
No, you
But
good. You
you just
good.
said,
I would just say this. I'm gonna give you a light answer. From as a mental health professional, it all goes back to functioning. When you can't function in a healthy way socially, spiritually, you're not sleeping, you're not eating, you're frustrated, you're starting to resent the church, you're starting, those are signs that you're doing a bit too much. Because when you show up in service with tact and wisdom, you don't feel depleted. You don't feel angry and resentful. Um, you feel like you have clarity. You feel light. You do feel like it's reciprocal. So if you're bitter and you're serving, you're probably over serving. Let me just say that.
that's good. If you bitter and you're serving, you're probably over serving. LFRCI, if you feel bitter, let me know so you can just sit in the back, okay? 'Cause I don't want you bitter now. I need you feeling love, the place where it never expires, right here. Right here. All right, I'm going now.
All right, so let's talk about this reinforcement that I was talking about. We are taught to stay, endure. Oh my God, we give cookies and stars on paper. It's not worth it. There's the don't quit doctrine. Don't quit. Don't give up. Sometimes giving up is the best thing for you. Don't embarrass the family. What do you mean don't embarrass the family? So the family not gonna be embarrassed, but you're withering away. It's not worth it. Don't give up too easily. Now, granted, there is a level of tenacity and steadfastness and stick to itness that we need to have for God ordained missions and relationships. So don't get this confused. I don't want you guys to think that I am calling you to just give up on everything. No, use wisdom and discernment and make sure you hear from God as you're moving. But you know those things that are making you sick and you don't feel well. Those are the things that I'm talking about. We are rarely taught to stay aligned, to stay regulated, and to stay whole. And I'm gonna say this: whatever definition of love you have come to learn and understand, even I'll use the word attachment, whatever version of attachment you come to understand that you possess, I want you to begin to reframe your definition of love to include love means I stay aligned. Love means that I'm regulated. My emotions are regulated. I am balanced. I feel whole. I feel like myself. I'm in my body. I don't feel like an imposter. I don't feel exhausted all the time. I don't feel like people owe me because I give too much. Everything feels equal and feels balanced. Incorporate some of these perspectives into how you love and how you want to be loved and how you want to be as you love. I think that's really important. Who do you want to be while you're loving? Do you want to be healthy and whole while you're loving? Or do you want to be broken down while you're loving? And it's not taught at all. So I know for some of you guys, it's probably the first time you heard it from this angle. But yes, how you show up while you're loving is important. So I have a question. Where were you taught that leaving anything equals failure? A relationship, a situation, a church, a job, maybe even a house. Think back to maybe your first memory of where you were taught that leaving means you failed. You could pop it in the comment. You could come off and talk to me, Pastor AR.
Oh, I'm coming. Don't you worry, girl. I was on that boat coming on in. So I want to hear yours first, though. It was your question. I want to hear your answer.
Where were you taught that leaving anything equals failure? Ooh, I would say my mother's relationship with my father. My mother never said this, but I learned through how she showed up that her not being with my father married was a failure. She stayed and endured a lot, and she always said this to us: "I want y'all to have a dad." So she endured a lot before she couldn't take anymore. So guess who learned to tough it out? And if you leave, that means you fail. I learned because through that, and that was not even direct; that was indirect. So I would thankfully I didn't stay in a lot of toxic relationships very long, but I did put up with a lot. I found myself rationalizing things in relationships that I shouldn't have. There were some things at early in my relationship journey, even though I was a teenager, I give myself grace that I put up with that now I wouldn't. Uh-uh. Like because I know better and I understand better. But yeah, I learned from my mom. I'll go there.
Uh,
I'm gonna throw it back to you now. It's your
I'm
turn.
gonna catch that thing. Oh, alley oop and make a touchdown, baby. I would say probably watching my mom early on as well. So of course I didn't see the aspect of the effect of my mother with our father, right? I just know I think the aftermath of me, being in existence, and so I will say, watching my mother want the best lifestyle for me, but maybe not having the best people for the lifestyle. And so it's like, because at times we want to create certain things for our children. And so, but the people may not fully match up with our principles, and so as we grow, because my mother was a young, she did an amazing job to be a young mother. But she had to endure a lot. So because she endured a lot, I endured a lot. And so I think leaving at times seemed like failing because let's say this, because family will make you fail when things feel like you're failing when things don't work. And sometimes the
Mm-hmm.
things that people say or don't support when you're trying to make the best decision with the capacity you have will actually be what causes you to fail because They give you judgment instead of guidance. And so a lot of times the people that we are supposed to lean on or fall back to end up dropping us because when you grown, you made these decisions. And sometimes with our culture, we hear that so much. Oh, you grown. However, the Bible says, train up a child in the way that they should go so that when they grow old, they'll never depart. You know, God looks at us as children. Until we die, we are still his children. So even as a mother or father, your child is your child until you die. So we're supposed to always train them, but so many times we associate age with you grown because you're 18 or because you don't want to listen and take my direction. But ultimately, it's my responsibility to always pour out wisdom to you, even if you don't listen, because our words are seeds into whoever we pour it out to. So when we stop pouring out wisdom to our children, ultimately we are failing them. So I think our frustration of them either not listening or not changing their ways makes people stop pouring, and ultimately they end up failing their family and causing certain things to be generational.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, family unfortunately can really put us in some stuff. And you know what? That's why therapy is important. I feel like there's some dynamics that you ultimately will have in a family that needs some processing. Like we need to understand that the way that our family has functioned, there are other things out there, and we get to color outside of those lines. And we don't need permission. And I'm going to talk about that a little later in my presentation, but it's okay. Discomfort is okay. Like if you don't do the things that the way your family did or the way they say you should do it, it's okay. You should be a little uncomfortable because you're being a trailblazer. You're starting something new, something that's never been done in your lineage. So you should be uncomfortable. But what ends up happening is we mistake discomfort for guilt. Like that's not guilt. That is discomfort, and you should be because you're doing something new and different. And we got to make friends with that type of discomfort. And yes, sometimes people are giving us wisdom, and sometimes we should heed that wisdom. But we got to have discernment, and we got to trust our own instincts, and we also have to learn to hear from God so we understand what it is that He wants us to do. Families, the voice of our families isn't everything. But here's the thing about our minds: what and who are the first voices that you hear in early childhood? And think about the roles of those voices. The first voices that we hear in childhood are our family's voices, and they function as a means of protection and covering. So imagine this being your place of safety, and then you growing up and then discovering this ain't so safe. I don't like it under here. I don't want to be under your covering. I don't want to be under your voice. It's confusing and it takes a while to accept. So if you had a hard time kind of shaking off things your family has taught you and indoctrinated you with, that's normal because that is your first source of safety and covering that you've had in your life.
Janae, you just said something. It just hit my spirit, and you know I love the Lord. But you just said something about family, but a lot of times that's also how church is. Because of somebody that's covering you and protecting you, you've been there so long, but then when it no longer fits you or you have this discomfort, you see certain things and now you're ready to go. But it's because now you have this guilt. Well, I've been rocking with them, you know. Oh, well, you've been here, you've been serving me, you've been doing this. But the thing is, now you make me uncomfortable within myself. You make me uncomfortable in certain decisions. And now people have this extra weight that it also comes from, you know, that family dynamic and experience that sometimes we don't even correlate the two, being with the church and family.
Absolutely. And we got some comments coming through. So I just said, well, my mom was quick to leave a relationship or job when it no longer served her. We moved almost every year growing up. So I probably have more of an issue attaching than detaching. Yep. That sounds about right. And the same thing is like for military families, like military folk. Oh, they can move, they can cut you off, they move on. They don't linger too long. Shamira shared, my aunt after her husband died chose trash guys, and I believe now looking back, my choice in men were horrible. Yeah, it was modeled. Oh, and Shamira said you ain't never lied. All they did was fuss. Thank y'all for commenting. All right. Now, so let's look at defining healthy loyalty. Yeah, because loyalty isn't bad now. It is not. I don't want you to think that loyalty is a dirty word, but when it is a function of survival that is fueled by fear it becomes dysfunctional and it becomes self betrayal. But let's look at healthy loyalty. So it honors truth. Yes. When you are loyal, you speak truth about yourself and the other people you're around. It honors it. Yes. Always find time to tell the truth about what you need, what you want, what you like, what you don't like, if it's too much, if it's too little, if you need more. Oftentimes, when we find ourselves in the performance of love, we lie about what we need. We will say we need whatever we think that person can give, just if that means keeping them. Yeah, no longer do you have to morph your needs to keep people around. You just tell the truth. It includes self respect. Yes, you must have self respect effectiveness. You must be meeting your own objectives in relationships. You deserve to have your needs and goals met as well. It allows boundaries. If you are in relationships with work, children, significant others, friends, and you're not allowed to have a boundary, like people literally mistreat you or act out or go overboard when you say no, or when you say not this time, or when you want to switch things up, that's a red flag. It's reciprocal. Yes, it's mutual respect. It's mutual giving. It's I scratch your back, you scratch mine. It's not afraid of honest conversations. Yes, that is loyalty. That's coming from you and loyalty coming to you. Healthy loyalty says, I am committed, but not at the cost of my integrity. Yes, I'm committed to you, but I'm not going to lose who I am. I'm not going to lose who God says I am. I'm not going to operate outside of my values to keep you around. If I have to operate outside of my values to keep you around, that means we're not aligned. And maybe I need to try to find a way to detach from you. Um, and I might recommend not even attaching to people when you discover they aren't aligned. And that's why dating and vetting people is so important. You get to determine when you date with intention or you vet with intention when it comes to friendships, you can kind of tell people are not going to be it. And you should stop it before the attachment grows, because it's hard to detach once you've attached. I've seen it where people have fallen in love or gotten really close to friend groups, and it's hard to say no once you're already in there. But what if you develop like a safeguarding system where you really got to vet people? I always say treat dating like a job interview. Like they're interviewing you to see if you have the prerequisites and the basic skills to take the job. If they don't have the prerequisites and the basic skills, and the visual, spiritual, mental resume doesn't match the job that you need to feel whole, then don't hire them for the job. Don't even let them come work and dip their toe in the pool to see if it's something they can do. Don't allow them in. Set a hard boundary. Let's look at misaligned loyalty. So you got the healthy loyalty, now you got the misaligned. So this is when it's kind of on the brink of that self betrayal. So, how you know you're in a dysfunctional dynamic in any regard in your life? It protects dysfunction. Let's just say you're in a dysfunctional dynamic and you bring it up. Say, hey, this is not good. This isn't working. This makes me feel hurt, and everybody act like they don't see it. Nobody wants to fix it. They think you're crazy. That's protecting dysfunction. If you're the only one that has a problem with the problem and nobody else does, that's a problem. That's misaligned loyalty. And sometimes you develop the mindset, well, if I can't beat them, I'll join them. Then you become okay with the dysfunction. You start to protect it. Um, it silences your intuition. Yeah, they don't want you to have no wit, no brains, no smarts, no ideas. They're totally okay with you being a zombie, being ignorant, being silent. They don't want to hear your intellect. They don't want to hear your ideas. I see this a lot in unhealthy relationship dynamics where you have one that wants to control the other. And can I say this? It's not just intimate relationships. I have seen some pretty abusive friendships. Yes, I've seen abusive platonic friendships. Yes, when people want to control who you hang out with, who you title best friend, how many hours you spend with this friend versus that friend, that's not healthy. It confuses suffering with virtue. Yeah. God doesn't want you broken down. Suffering is inevitable, but we're not going to go around suffering for suffering's sake if there's a better option. And you're not going to get a badge of honor because you suffered. You're not a martyr if you have a choice. I think a lot of people who made real big sacrifices, I think it boiled down to kind of it not being a choice. When you have other options that don't require you to self sacrifice, I would encourage you to take those up. It keeps you over functioning. That means nothing you do is never enough. It's never enough. I mean, you could cut off your right arm, give your last dime, you could give it all. They still will point out something that ain't enough. They still complaining. They still ain't said thank you. They still haven't appreciated you for the many sacrifices and want you to give more. And you're like, I ain't got no more to give. That is over functioning. And when your loyalty is misaligned, you don't see this and you'll keep showing up this way and wonder why you're wore down and tore up because you're over functioning. I just had this epiphany. Our purpose has limits. Your purpose in your relationships has limits. Sometimes you got to tell people no. Sometimes God has not graced you to show up the way people are mandating you to show up, and you got to push your foot down. It's driven by.
Oh, hold on, girlfriend. Hold on. You just said your purpose got limits. Sometimes God may not grace you. Ooh, you know that is so powerful right there, Janae. Because sometimes people don't understand. It's a grace to deal with certain people. You know, some
Yeah.
people they can go through certain relationships or love a person to healing or love a person to getting out of being abusive, and then you got another person they ain't grace. You say the wrong thing, they gonna cut you or something. You know, you might end up dead, and we ain't wishing that on them. But that's just the fact. Everybody is not graced to deal with the same level or experience. And so many times we say, you failed. Like you said earlier, you failed. How did you fail? Y'all was married. Y'all was supposed to stick it. Y'all was, as you hear a lot of times, y'all was the couple in school. You know, and how'd y'all, everything looked good. But people don't see the internal battles or the things that you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Backing, you see the pictures, the Facebook, the Instagram, all these things that we put before people, but not what we're dealing with behind the screen. You know, what we're dealing with when you're going through. And sometimes even when you have that person and they don't want therapy. They just
Mm-hmm.
they have all the answers and that's it. Like I'm good. Nothing's wrong with me, right? But it's like, yo, but we ain't okay. But my love says to fix it, but how can I fix something you won't be willing to bring in front of somebody else? And so now I don't have the capacity to continue going in the same direction because now it's insanity. If we ain't changing nothing and you acting the same, I must be insane, right? Or am I wrong? I just want to help the people. Like, can you help the people? Because maybe
Yeah.
that's the question. Like, what do I do when I've been going through the same thing over and over, but I love them, but now my love ain't enough. Like I'm loyal to them. I ain't cheated. I've been talking to them. I've been telling them all my feelings and issues and the things that I don't like, and all I get criticized about is that you're coming against me or you're telling me I'm against you. No, I'm telling you your behavior. I'm not against
Mm-hmm.
you, but I'm against the behavior, and there's a difference, right? Or
Yeah.
is there?
Well, love isn't enough. We know that. That's a myth. It's love is not enough when you talk about a committed relationship. There's commitment, there's compatibility. We need to be aligned. We need to be on the same page. Yeah, love is not enough. It isn't. It just isn't. The attachment is not enough to just be connected to somebody through this neurological process whereby your brain reaches for them just because of the history. Love takes work, it takes commitment, it takes intention. And we got to meet people where they are, and they got to meet people where they are. There's so many examples of love in the Bible, and I can tell you when I look at love in the Bible, it always goes back to what are we doing for other people.
Mm.
Love has nothing to do with ourselves, but we've made love about worth. We've made love about resale. I'm going to explain that. Like, we are not for sale. God has already told us our worth. He already told us that we were worth something. But we get in these relationships and we're trying to resell ourselves. We
That,
aren't for sale.
teach that, girl. Teach that.
We are not for sale. Like, you don't have to go around trying to prove your worth to every environment, every place, every person that you're with. God already told you have worth. So when you understand that, you start to move different. And that's what I'm saying. Reframe your understanding of love and worth and value. and understand why you show up the way you do. And then we got to do something about it to change it if you recognize that you're falling into some of these unhealthy patterns.
Can we just take
Um,
a quick, brief moment for the people to affirm themselves? If y'all are with it, I need you to put in the chat, I am not for resale because God already told me my word. Somebody need to hear that tonight. I felt that. I am not for resale. Interact with us. Yeah. Because guess what? You don't have to sell yourself. And some of us, we've been trying to sell the attributes, our character. And look, I can be honest and say, I've tried to sell my character and who I was as a man, or because of my past or because of my mistakes. So I'm like, well, this is who I am. I can do this and I do this.
mhm.
But at the end of the day, why?
Yeah.
So we got to remember, look, and I'm talking to me too, to y'all, because guess what? Leadership is not exempt from going through issues, okay? Let me say that. So I don't care, pastor, bishop, prophet, apostle, whatever. Y'all, we go through the same stuff you do. We have things we have to navigate. As y'all heard Janae talking about the things that she dealt with our father. This is my blood sister, okay? We didn't grow up together. Our relationship started when I believe I was 18 and she was 19, right? That sound about right? I think that was right. Because you was,
We were in college. We
yeah,
were in
that's right.
college.
So y'all, guess what? It's about what you put together, and it takes time. So now we grown. We ain't gonna say our age now no more. It don't matter. You know, I got them great Beijing up in there, but you know, we doing good. Amen. All right. But no,
All right.
seriously, that was good. I'm gonna get out.
Mhm. So, misaligned loyalty, last point, is driven by fear of abandonment. Yes, you create the need to be needed so they can't leave you. You got to become so important. I would say this, my first relationship when I was 16, I just knew he wasn't gonna leave me because I had me a little job at the chicken joint. I was buying him shoes and Nike cologne and Nike shirt, and I was like, oh, he ain't leaving me because I'm too good to him. I'm too important, and I'm so thankful that he left me. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because very early in life, I understood that people have the right to leave me and abandon me. I don't care how much you give, how much you self-sacrifice, how much you self-betray. People will leave you. They will leave. And when you internalize that, that will motivate you to stop showing up like that, over functioning, convincing yourself that you're so good that people can't leave you. It's a myth, it's a lie. People will leave you. People leave people when they've been married for 20 something years. People can leave. And when you understand that, you got to show up differently. So, misaligned loyalty says, if I leave, I am bad. That's that internal voice that kicks your behind all the time. It says, you are a failure. I am bad. I am not worthy. I must do this in order to be loved. My worth is in my work. All of those things your internalized voice will tell you, but you got to make it be quiet. In fact, you got to learn to kill that, and you got to reframe it, and you got to learn to give yourself positive cognitions, affirmations. I am worthy for just being who I am. God already told me my worth. I'm deserving of love, not because I overgive, but because I'm me. I'm deserving of love because I'm me. That's it. That's the affirmation. All right, I got a question for you. What emotions come up when you imagine disappointing someone? And this often keeps us in very unhealthy attachments. We don't want to make nobody mad. Make friends with disappointing other people. No matter how much you love and how much you give, you will disappoint others. That's just how life is. Not that you're doing it on purpose, but sometimes humans are hard to please. They just get disappointed. And I want you to put a feeling word. That might be fear, anger, frustrated, sad, irritated. Like, how do you feel when you really have to come face to face with the reality that you disappointed someone? And I'll start it. When I disappoint someone, I feel a little embarrassed. I typically feel embarrassed. I'll start with embarrassment, and then usually I have to kind of walk it back, reflect, understand why I'm feeling that way. And baby, if I get clarity that I ain't did nothing wrong, it like lifts up off of me.
So that was a good question. I would say when I disappoint someone, I feel isolated. Um,
Mm.
you know, because most of the times when you disappoint somebody, it's not your intention. And so you think you are doing something good, and then somebody's disappointed or hurt. So, for example, I'll say with my daughter, like when she's disappointed, I feel a wreck, because I want to show up, I want to be this great dad, and at times is, hey, I may error, I may think life happens, and sometimes it's things out of my control, but then she's disappointed. Oh, I didn't get to see you. Oh, I didn't get to do this thing, and it's like, shoot, baby, just circumstance, the weather. Maybe we ain't go somewhere because the weather is raining and the place was outside, and so it's like this disappointment. But one thing I have started to do was realize, okay, what was in my control for this disappointment and what wasn't. And if there was more factors that was out of my control, I said, you got to let it go. And if there was more factors that was in my control, I say, okay, how can I better examine situations going forward? And I just have a self-talk with me.
That's exactly how I handle it. You learn from it. That's all you can do. We're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna disappoint people, and sometimes you could have did better, but you learn from it. And when the universe gives you another opportunity to try it again, you do better. Now, I have some practical definition of self betrayal. I want to make sure y'all really understand that the unhealthy way of showing up in a loyal way is a version of self betrayal. But I want to give you practical definitions because I really want y'all to understand what it is so you know what to repel when it's time to put the rubber on the road and live your life. So, self betrayal is saying yes when your body says no. That means that it don't feel right. It don't feel good at all. You feel like you're out of place. You feel like something's off, but you do it anyway. That is your nervous system telling you that this doesn't align. Don't ignore that. That little tummy feeling you get, that gut feeling, stop ignoring that. That is your instinct. Sometimes that's God trying to protect you. That is your nervous system saying this doesn't align with our values. And we have to stop ignoring it. And I really am stressing this because that's the heartbeat of emotions, what your body is communicating to you. And a lot of us are so separated from that. Learn to listen to your body. It is on fire for a reason. It's not on fire because you got high blood pressure or heartburn. You are making decisions that does not align with what you need to live a life that's worth living. Ignoring red flags to maintain peace. Yes, I always say it's really delayed hell because right now you are ignoring the red flags to maintain peace. But let me tell you, if you are self betraying and misaligned, the hell is coming. It is coming. Silencing your needs to avoid conflict. Same thing. It's only going to be avoided for a short period of time, and then conflict will be upon you. Over functioning so others do not have to. That's enabling. I'll do all the dirty work for you so that way you don't have to suffer. I see that dynamic a lot with the parent child relationship. Like we got to let our kids suffer. We can't do everything for them. We can't do their homework, fight their bullies, get them dressed. You can't do all of that for them. They have to go through life and kind of learn how to survive and get some of those survival instincts on their own. Like you can't survive for them. Like they are going to get out in the real world and live their lives, and they have to have some survival tools in their toolkit. That you can't give them your tools, and if you give it to them, they're not going to know how to use them because they don't have the life experience for how to use them because you've enabled them. Staying quiet to protect your image. Ooh, that's it right there. Yeah, staying quiet because it's really not your image; it's really your mask. Staying quiet to protect your mask, the version of you that's not authentic, the version of you that you want everybody to believe is you. Prioritizing loyalty over self alignment. So, and I don't even want to say the word loyalty, prioritizing self betrayal over self alignment. So, lying to yourself in order to, instead of doing what's best for you, doing what's best for you, and instead of denying other people like your energy, your time, your space. Like tell people no and honor yourself. That's the word, honor yourself. If you were royalty, if you were your own king or queen, how would you treat yourself? If you had to worship and honor yourself, that's what you got to do in these relationships. Honor yourself as if you are royalty. It is choosing approval over authenticity. Yes. So you want to be approved more than you want to be your true identity and be who God has called you to be. It is abandoning your internal truth to maintain external stability. So again, that's a survival instinct, right? It's abandoning who you really are in order to be approved by your external world. And we call that disjointedness. You're not on the like your inside and your outsides are not on the same page, and that never feels good. So I want to validate y'all tonight. Let me validate you. So, how did you get the self betrayal? You had to protect yourself. It's a survival instinct. Maybe you're protecting yourself from rejection, maybe chaos, maybe confrontation, maybe disapproval, maybe disappointing someone else. Financial instability. Maybe you're trying to keep that job, keep that boss happy so you can keep food on the table because you need a raise. Spiritual guilt. Maybe you're feeling guilty because maybe you feel like you're not doing enough as a Christian. But it's all about survival. No one is self-betraying and mishandling loyalty on purpose. Self-betrayal often began as survival. But the problem is you are still in survival mode. I'm going to say this to you all. Some of y'all got in survival mode because you were going through hell. Today is February 24th, 2026. Have you paused to realize that you're no longer going through hell, but you're still living like you're going through hell? You got to get mindful and you got to recognize when this is happening and you got to make some adjustments. The hell is over, but the qualities, the habits, the lifestyles, the functioning that you picked up when you were going through hell, you're still living in them because you have adapted to that way of existing and showing up. But now you got to learn a new way to adapt in this new safer environment. Like maybe you were in a loud household or around abuse or in an unhealthy scenario, but you're not there anymore. You're not there anymore. So the psychological cost of self-betrayal. So chronic self-betrayal can lead to anxiety, probably any mental health condition. I got a list here, but I could just put any emotional numbness. You know how I feel about numb. Numb is dangerous because you will stay in hell burning up and you won't leave because you won't feel it. But you still have the consequences and the repercussions of being on fire. Burn out, you're irritable all the time, depressed, sad for more than 2 weeks, quiet resentment. You resent things, but you're not showing it. You feel it. Um, and here's a nugget for you for free. Resentment is often grief for the self you abandoned. Yeah, the self that you smothered trying to make people happy and make people love you. You start to resent everything around you. And sometimes you resent people you don't even know why because it's subconscious. It is the grief for the self you couldn't be. The grief for the self you couldn't be because it didn't feel safe enough to be. What's the spiritual cost of self betrayal? When you constantly override your true identity in yourself, your discernment becomes cloudy. So maybe you're not making good decisions, good sound decisions. It makes sense. Your discernment is cloudy. Prayer becomes performance. Now you praying in a way whereby you maintain love and connections in these places that are unhealthy for you. Prayer isn't about what you really, really are yearning for and what you need. Prayer is about what you want. All you treating God like a pimp. You pray and just ask for what you want. You haven't surrendered. Service becomes exhausting. Yes, it's not service, it's self-sacrifice. That's why you're exhausted. Obedience become fear-based. Now you're obedient out of fear. Um, not out of belief and conviction, but you're afraid. And I just want to remind you what scripture tells us. Love your neighbor as yourself. Yes. You're treating everybody else better than you. And that's not scripture. You are overgiven to everybody else and you've forgotten all about yourself. You've done nothing for yourself. Everything goes back to other people. In fact, when I ask my clients to talk about like the things they do for self-care, I make them take everything off the table if it has something to do with somebody else. I don't want to hear about what you're doing that involves other people. Why? What are you doing for you that has nothing to do with another living human being? That is what I want to know. Self neglect is not spiritual maturity. Yeah, there is no star. Like, you don't get a golden key to heaven's gate because you have neglected yourself. Like, it's not healthy. There's no spiritual payoff to it, and there's no earthly payoff to it. So I got about two more slides. Y'all hang in there with me. Um, Now I talked about the problems. We're experts on the problems. Now I want y'all to go teach somebody else about these problems. Please tell them what you learned tonight. But here's the part that I want you to start to put into practice. Reclaim alignment with yourself. Solution number one, reconnect to your body. I already talked about that, so I'm not going to harp on that. But understand why your body is reacting the way it is and learn to listen to it. Two, redefine loyalty. Include you in loyalty. Not only are you going to be loyal to everybody else, but be loyal to you, what you want and need. Solution number three, practice low risk boundaries. I understand because this is a survival instinct to go all in, just cutting people off and setting boundaries is going to feel very unsafe. And in fact, you're not going to do it. That's just not realistic. Low risk boundaries. So find little things that you can incorporate and put boundaries on, not big major things. Start small with the minor things, and then you're more likely to be successful. And then eventually you can start setting bigger, more intense boundaries. Separate guilt from growth. Yes, discomfort does not equal wrongdoing. Just because you feel uncomfortable as you start to make some changes doesn't mean you've done something wrong. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Like, you got to divorce the guilt from the growth. Discomfort is a totally different thing from guilt. Solution number four, I'm sorry, five, anchor identity spiritually. Your work precedes your usefulness. Yes, there's so many scriptures about who God says that we are. We were formed in our mother's womb. He knew who we are. We are worthy. We are worthy. I want you to just say, I am worthy. And it has nothing to do with your relationships, how much love you have, your job, your degrees, your title, how many children you have or don't have, if you're married or if you're single. None of that stuff matters. It does not matter. Again, you came with worth in this world. And if you understand that, you won't be fighting for it, and losing your identity for it. Now, new framework for love. We've been kind of been talking about this along the way. Love without self-betrayal just means you have mutual responsibility in relationships. Like, it's not one-sided. It's not all on you anymore. Emotional honesty, you tell the truth. There's room for disagreement. It's room for you to disagree. But y'all know y'all can change y'all mind and y'all can disagree. There is no Christian guideline that says you can't change your mind. You can't disagree with people. It is your Christian birthright to disagree and change your mind. Maybe something worked for you and you realize it don't work. Be okay with shifting the winds and changing the tides. You can change your mind. You can disagree. Personal autonomy. Love means you have an identity. You have autonomy. You can be who you want to be. You can be unique. You don't have to be like anybody else. That is love. Love does not mean go along to get along and look like everybody else and fit in. Um, Peace, not pressure. You should be at peace, not pressure. Healthy love does not require disappearance of your true identity. Healthy love does not mean you're erased. Who God says you are is erased. Who you want to be is erased. Have a few reflection questions, and you can journal these. You don't have to comment in the section or anything. But where am I loyal out of fear in my life? Am I afraid to be disloyal? Pretty much. Where am I performing love instead of experiencing it? Yes. What would alignment look like this week? Like, what would it mean to take a little micro boundary, a little micro shift to be a little bit more aligned? And then think about this discussion and what resonated with you the most. Whatever the answers are to that, just journal about it. And wrapping up here to just test your understanding, I have 10 true and false to see if you were paying attention or if you were cooking and driving and doing other stuff and wasn't paying attention to anything. So, one, loyalty should always require sacrifice. Is that true or false? That is false. Loyalty should not always, that's an absolute required sacrifice. It may require it. It depends if it's true, if it's aligned, if you have the capacity, then possibly, but it's not always required. Feeling guilt when setting boundaries means you are wrong. That is false. It means you're growing. If you feel uncomfortable, you might be confusing discomfort with guilt, and that's not wrong. You're just growing. Self betrayal often starts as a survival strategy. Is that true or false? That is true. You're just trying to make it. And then eventually you make it and you don't realize you don't have to do that anymore. You keep functioning that way. Healthy love includes mutual accountability, or healthy attachment includes mutual accountability. That is true. You can love someone and still disappoint them. That is true. You're gonna disappoint them all the time, and the love is still there. Resentment can signal unmet needs. Absolutely. Resentment can signal unmet needs. That means that whenever there's resentment present, that means I'm not honoring myself somewhere. There's a need that I'm not addressing properly. Faith requires silent endurance of dysfunction. Ooh, that's a good one. That is false, but that is indoctrinated and sometimes taught indirectly that faith means that you must silently endure dysfunction. But that's not true. Discomfort always means danger. And I guess when you hear that absolute always, you know that that's false. Boundaries destroy intimacy. Is that true or false? That is false. Boundaries protect you. They protect you. And last but not least, you are allowed to remain whole in relationships. Is that true or false? That is true. Yes. You don't have to be broken in relationships. That is propaganda that happens in the movies where people are getting all beat up and broken down to be in love. We don't have to do that in real life. We don't. So, any thoughts, feedback, input, please let's have a discussion, ask away, and thank y'all for your time. Thank y'all for staying up with me late on a Tuesday night. I appreciate it.
Well, I think you did really, really, really good because today we ain't had no questions because people was interacting with us. But if you got a question for this segment, please drop it in the chat so we can answer. Or if you don't want to put it in the chat because it's a sensitive question, you can text the number on the screen 910-945-3009 and we will answer your question. But please be prompt because we want to be conscious and of you all's time as well as Janae's time. But I will say, let me ask you this question, right? Because you just said something about boundaries being. She said part two, Janae. Lord, have mercy. You want a part two? God, Lord, was it that good? You need a part two, huh? Well, that's Janae's call. I ain't lying. The question is, what depicts because some people, because they don't like your boundaries, even though boundaries are for love, they'll say that you don't love them because of your boundaries. What would you say to that person?
People who misinterpret boundaries as unlovingness.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, we really can't control people's perception of our behaviors. So, I mean, other than verbalizing that that's not what it means, some people just kind of have to fight their own battles and come to their own understanding. And then when you think about attachment, this is probably someone who has that anxious attachment style. They need you to show up in that way to feel reassured. And I didn't talk about that dynamic, but what if you get two anxious people in a relationship together? Woo, that's a hot mess express. It's
Oh my.
bad.
Oh,
Yeah, you get two people who are afraid to lose each other. So they both overgiving, overcommitted. Nobody authentic. Everybody is nuts in love.
hmm.
Um, it's problematic, but people got to do their own work. We cannot heal for people. We cannot convince people into to thinking wisely, people have to do their own work. All you can do is present your needs, mean what you say what you mean, don't say it mean. But people have to interpret that, internalize it, and do the work to do the changes that they need to do. Um, that's my advice for that question.
Okay. We just got a question. Um, how do I love without self sabotaging? Yeah.
Was you listening? No, let me stop. I'm joking. How do you love without self sabotage? First, recognize why you have that style of love. Like, go back to your childhood. Think about those attachment styles that I talked about: the secure, the anxious, the avoidant. Like, why do you love the way you love? Um, and think about some of the beliefs that have been created because of that. Like, do you believe that people will leave you? Do you believe that you have to show up a certain way in order for people to stay around because that's how it was as a child? Like, really deal with some of those beliefs, and then through some type of therapy you might need to desensitize your nervous system to those beliefs and reprogram some positive cognitions in there. And a therapist can help you with that. I'm not saying that this is exactly what you need, but it's likely what you will need, because sometimes you can be in a space like this and learn, and your brain, your logical brain knows, oh, I can easily stop, self-sabotaging by just paying attention to what I'm doing when I'm in love. But then the question I would ask rhetorically is, well, if you know that, then why you're not doing it? And the answer is the body keeps the score. Your nervous system wants to feel safe, and it will choose safety every time. So you gonna self sabotage every time until you really deal with what's happening underneath the surface.
And by the way, that's a great book. I'm reading it. The Body Keeps the Score.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to figure out yourself and find more things out about yourself, I recommend you go get that book off of Amazon. It is a great read to learn about you. Let me see. Oh, okay. Um, it said, Janae, how did you overcome your love style that you said was, it says toxic, but at the beginning of your relationship, how did you overcome that while staying in that relationship?
Oh, that's easy. You keep having failed ones, you learn. You keep they keep not hey they keep not working out. You got to take a few steps back. Like, what is it? And honestly, I think it's maturity too. Spiritual maturity and actual physical maturity. When you grow up, you just kind of start to see things differently. And a combination of learning from past experiences, maturing and learning, and taking risks. Like, really, and I'll be transparent. Like, even with my husband, I still had some of those toxic ways in the beginning of our relationship. Like, listen, he had to prove he loved me. He had to run he had to be an Olympian to prove to me he wasn't going to leave me. And then I had to deal with myself. Like, Janae, wait a minute. Look at the ways he shows up and the ways that he reassures you. I really had to look for the areas that made me feel secure and focus on those instead of allowing what made me feel insecure to take precedence. So it was very intentional, looking for the areas where I did feel secure. So the areas that tried to convince me I was insecure wasn't louder or more powerful. I hope that's helpful.
Then we just got one more. Uh, it's as, has your love style changed in your marriage from when you started until now?
Oh, yes. Uh-huh. Yes, I was still a little bit of what I described in the beginning to now. I am secure. Like, listen, I used to check phones. This Janae don't do that. Like, man, I was checking phones. I was concerned. There was always this thought like, he's gonna cheat on me, or he's not gonna be that, because I had been cheated on in the past. That was the trauma that I carried. But it's just something broke in me. And when I say broke, I mean in a good way, where the security came, the clarity came, the maturity came. And I think, again, it comes from God. It comes from knowing who I am. It comes from being clear about my identity. And I will say this: do the self work, because when you know who you are more, man, you could be a better partner in any relationship. The 26-year-old me that got married, she she thought she knew it all. She ain't know nothing. Like I say that all the time to my friends. Like when I got married, I didn't know nothing.
Nothing.
I didn't
Nah,
know
I ain't know nothing
nothing.
either. I ain't know a thing.
And I kind of still don't know nothing, but I know a little bit more than I did know. But maturity and experience, those are my answers.
Okay, and just for the sake of time, we don't have any questions in the comments. This will be the last one. How much of your love growth involved your spirituality or church?
A lot of it. A lot of it. Yes. The word of God. Yeah. There's so many. Like, I'm amazed. There's a scripture for everything. Scriptures have scriptures. Like wisdom and guidance, it's all there at your fingertips. Like you just got to seek it and find it. The good thing is, I always kind of, because I grew up in church, I always kind of had a spiritual backing to support me. But obviously, as you're going through life, you don't always, you don't have them in your heart because you're not studying and you don't know everything. But yes, I would say my spirituality has a lot to do with it, and I'll tell you why. Because I have accountability partners. I have a pastor, I have a church home, and I will say this: when you are in an environment that holds you accountable, you pay more attention to how you move. That's why having a church home is so
True.
important. Like a lot of people, like, oh, I can just do bedside Baptist. I don't got to go to church. Let me tell you, getting up and being around humans makes you check yourself from your internal to your external. You change how you dress, so you got to get up and go to church.
Right.
So there is an accountability piece that I think is necessary for having a pastor and having a church home. Um, and wanting to honor God. That's another thing. Having a desire to please God. That's it.
There's another question. How do you continue to go for yourself as you go for your dream? Choose yourself as you go for your dreams.
Oh, that's easy. Balance. Like walk a middle path between taking care of you and pursuing your dreams. Like it doesn't have to be all or nothing. I talk about that all the time. Like that's why we end up over giving in one area and not because we think that we're not multidimensional. God made us multidimensional. You don't got to pick one side. God said you can have it all. You can have it all if you do it with me. All things are possible through Christ. That's or I can do all things through Christ. This is what I've been telling myself. I can do all things through Christ. In fact, this week was a rough week. That's how I've been making it. When I say rough, it's more things to do than the hours in a day. But
Mm.
I've been just telling myself I can do all things through Christ. I can do all things through Christ. All things include relationships. All things include your dreams. All things include getting yourself together. You can do all things when you do it with Christ, for Christ. You know his word. It's in your heart. You can do it. I'm a living witness. People ask me all the time how I do it. The first answer is I don't know. And then the second answer is, oh yeah, God did it. That's the answer.
Well, I think that's a good place to end and pass the collection plate and do the benediction because uh, evangelist, pastor, prophetess, Janae just said it all. Look, I'm gonna just throw it out there. She just did. I ain't got to do nothing, y'all. I'm gonna go sit down in the back and I'm gonna listen and grab my tea. And y'all know I like my frozen coffee from Dunkin', so that's what I'm gonna go sip on. Girl, listen, you just preached it in 30 seconds. That was good. That was good to my soul. But no, I think that's good. I think sometimes as professionals or leaders, people ask, "How do you do it?" I don't know. God, like that's it. It's just God. Some things you can't have an explanation for because God did it. God orchestrated. God put people in your life. God caused people to bless you or to connect you. It's like certain things, there's no explanation but God. And so, even I think with loving ourselves, we have to love what God has shown us because sometimes people will try to make you explain your experience, and sometimes you can't. And that's
Mm-mm.
okay. Like I love me enough to know my God real. I know what God done for me. And I may not have the words for it, but it has been real. So y'all, I hope tonight's segment bless you. You got some notes, some tools, and some things to keep with you. Y'all, if anything was said tonight, can y'all just put a heart, a love, a hand clap, throw the love in the chat for Miss Janae. Put that love up there. Let her know that you love her, that you appreciate the wisdom that she poured out on tonight. Also, as she said earlier, if you want to sew into Therapy Tuesdays, y'all, please do. We're trying to give some things, make this better for you all. We also already, all of our topics are done for this year, unless y'all give us something that you all want. But if you want to sew into Therapy Tuesday, be a part of growing this community, we would appreciate it, because guess what? It takes you all to help us do what we do. It's not just about us. So we're so grateful and appreciate it. Danae, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, sis. You've been a blessing tonight. Girl, I can't wait to see you when God do all he gonna do. Yes, sir. But y'all, guess what? Y'all know what time it is. We're about to end this segment of Therapy Tuesday. You know, not lose. How many people realize I lost myself a little bit along the way? You know, and sometimes it's okay. You got to be checked. You got to have some things to come up front to go by and examine and look at. But tonight you got some tools. So I pray that you were blessed. Y'all already know I can't leave without praying. But before I do that, I got a couple of announcements for y'all. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. So April 17th, 18th, and 19th is our conference. Don't be afraid of the dark down here in Wilmington, Rocky Point. I need y'all to come. It's going to be powerful. It's already live, but we got Dr. Jonathan Richardson from Lead Church Atlanta, Evangelist Sharice Harris from New York, and my brother, my friend, my son, Prophet Kamal, all the way from Kansas. Y'all, when I tell y'all it's about to be a movement, those 3 days, so I need y'all to put that on your calendar. Also, tomorrow we have our men's prayer at 6 a.m. So if you know a man that needs community, wants to pray, invite him to this. It is a space, it is a safe space and place for men to grow. And so also, you know, I got to do, yesterday was my late apostle's birthday. So I got to acknowledge her. I miss her. I love her. Apostle Mary D. McKenzie, y'all, we got to show love for the one that believed in me when nobody else did, that put her hands on me to get me to being a pastor, now on my way to bishop. So I'm excited of what God is doing here at Love and Faith Restoration Church International. And I'm excited about the growth in our team because we are growing. So I'm excited, y'all. I'm excited. I'm like a kid in the candy store. I'm like a dad watching this baby just grow up, you know, because my baby is growing up. She doing track and everything. I'm just excited. She doing everything I did, and I ain't even push it. Praise God. That's when you know your loins mean a little something. Prayer work. Also, y'all, man, shout out to my boy, Will Comey. Y'all like my gear. Check him out, IG, Facebook. We'll put your stuff in the chat so the people know if y'all like what you see. Hit my boy up, man. You know, I don't wear Gucci and all that stuff. I don't know Gucci. But I know swear though, I can get what I want to look. I tell them, hey, I need to customize, do a little something. Y'all, we got to support each other. One thing that God has given me about this ministry and the vision is kingdom has to partner with kingdom. We have to support each other. We got to support from within. So whatever you're doing, whatever your partner, also those that may have a product, I need some vendors for the conference. So if you know somebody, send them our way. There will be a flyer up for them to reach out if they want to vend. We want to push you. We want people to know who you are. We want to promote your product because guess what? You are quality. You're already worthy, and you don't have to resell yourself. So, Father, we just thank you for all that was poured out on tonight. God, I ask that you just touch everyone under the sound of my voice. God, you know what they're going through. You know what they need. Father, I just thank you for healing. God, I thank you for the right kind of love. I thank you for healthy love. I thank you for safe love. Father, I thank you for responsible love. Father, I thank you right now for just covering your sons and daughters, God, even those that may be in a toxic or bad situation. Father, I thank you that you will give them the grace and direction, instructions, how to move from toxic to healthy. God, continue to cover your people. God, guard them, arm them, God, and camp your angels around them right now. Father, just be with them. God, we may leave this place, but never your presence. So, Father, we just thank you and we praise you in Jesus Christ's mighty name. Amen, amen, amen. Also, y'all join us on Thursday. We're doing our finale with our Healing Heart series. So, Thursday, come check us out. We will be in the building. Pastor Shamir did an amazing, amazing job. So, y'all go watch the replay on that. and I'm going to finish it out this Thursday. So y'all have a great night. Be blessed, be blessed, be blessed. I love you to life. Keep smiling, keep shining, keep your head up because you have nothing to look down about. It's your favorite pastor. Might not be your favorite, but I'm somebody's favorite somewhere. I love you. God bless. Have a great night.